Today I wanted to talk about the whole idea of ascension and the left behind thing that is going to be happening more and more. And I think there's a group now, right now when I'm doing this, 2 days from now, they think this is the end of the world and the ascension, the rapture is happening. And this is going to happen more and more. There's something real being viewed and seen, and then it turns fanatic. But there is a real ascension process. There is a real upping in frequency. There is a real dialing up in frequency. Just like masters, Buddha here behind me, Joshua Ben David, Hopi shamans, lots of people, being St. Francis, St. Anthony, Yogananda's lineage, Lahari Mahashaya, Sri Yukteswar Babaji, of course. Others have been able to speed up their frequencies. It's all frequencies, as you hear me say often. If you want to know the secrets of the universe, like Tesla says, light, vibration, and frequency. It's about dialing the frequencies, which the ultimate frequency generator, by the way, is your heart, not your mind. Your mind is a follower. It is a carrier out, a servant, a detail-oriented planner, accountant, designer, servant to the king. The king is the heart. That's why the symbolism of the heart is for true avatar masters like Jesus, Joshua Ben David, and Krishna. They're heart masters. So remember that the biggest frequency generator is your heart. Now I wanted to talk about this whole thing of separating dimensions, the rapture. Christians come at it from the rapture. There's this thing that they get from the Holy Ghost about we're going to be ascended and raptured. There's some truth to this. Ascension is happening on Earth. Now, I want to talk about some of the pitfalls, why Mother Earth is having to hold on till the very last to do this. And I know this sounds far out to a lot of people. Now, the main thing to remember is that God's source is a loving God source. But we cannot continue to rape, pillage, literally, which we're doing in the war still, or destroying the earth. 35 million cows a year just slaughtered in horrible conditions, pesticiding crops, Monsanto genetically modified stuff, all that stuff. We can't continue. We can't be allowed to continue doing that because the earth has her own destiny, her own soul. Planets are, in a sense, ascended beings. They've already ascended. They're masters. But they go through their process as well. And Earth is shifting into the dawning of the Age of Aquarius. It's not just a song from the opera on Broadway. It's a real deal. And every master has talked about this. Jesus has presaged it. That's a cool word. Presage is an early sage. He's a sage that came as a predecessor. Krishna talked about it. Buddha, of course. This melting into the oneness, merging or upgrading our frequencies. Here's some of the pitfalls you're going to run into. Those of you that are on this path of upgrading your frequencies, if you have families, it's going to be tough at times because some of your family members ain't getting on the boat. And some of you, in some of your families, none of them are getting on the boat. And when you have kids, particularly, it's very tough because you're going to feel, I want them to come on the boat of upgrading their frequencies, coming into this new world, this new kingdom, which is a frequency kingdom. It's all frequency kingdoms. So you're going to have to learn. God Himself, God herself, lets us take as long as we want to wake up. God doesn't push the awakening, the rejoining, the healing on any being. I shouldn't say that. On free will beings. So when you want to push it on your kids, or your friends, or your parents, you're going to have to learn to sometimes let them go. Joshua Ben David, real masters tried to say this. They said, I've not come to bring peace, I've come to bring a sword, he says. I've come to set father against son. How can the Prince of Peace say things like that? How, the beautiful heart-loving Jeshua, Jesus, or Krishna comes and tells Arjuna, pick up your sword, go out on the battle and kill those other guys. How can heart beings do that? Because they're dividing the wheat from the chaff. Now, back in Krishna's time, the beings were full-on sort of denial, dark, demonic beings, if you will, and then there were the Pandavas versus the Asuras. Nowadays we're more mixed, so don't go out there. We're not killing anybody today, Mother Earth, and it's a natural process. There's no violence that we need to do. So these avatars advocated separation in frequency. So you're going to have to learn to let go and let God. You're going to have to learn to let your kids go in many instances. And as long as we're hanging on, people have free will. And with this is sort of a non-trespass. Don't trespass on this one. If you do, then you're subject. If you try to rescue someone against their will, you will end up where they are. So the true left behind is a frequency situation, Now, some of the Christians that a lot of us think are crazy, obviously when they say this particular date, that's been going on forever, This particular date is the end of the world and we're going to be raptured and frequent, and so forth. That is a premonition of something real taken out of context, and it goes fanatical or hopeful. Now, some soul fragments, some of you that look down on that, but some of the soul fragments in the Christian community are going to be raptured. They are beings that want to go home to the oneness, to the Christos, and through Jesus they're doing that, and that's part of his assignment, to save a bunch of the lost light, the lost spirit light out there. So he is doing that. You may look upon them and go, you're fanatical and crazy, how can you not understand that God is bigger than one religion? But it's because they're soul fragments. I know this is so open to being judged, what I'm saying right now. But for those of you with ears to hear, will help you. So let them, that's none of your business. Let them do it how they're doing it. You take care of you and your path home. Your main ingredient here for your ascension process is to ascend your energies. Get your frequencies in your body, in your mind, in your heart, in your solar plexus, in your sex, in your root chakra, in your mind. All that needs to be stepped up so that you can be assumed by this frequency coming to earth. I used to go around telling God, and one of my morning mantras was, assume me, resume me, consume me, bring your holy fire, the Kundalini fire, same as the Holy Ghost. Bring that into me so that you upgrade the spinning, vibrating, molecular, the atoms, the frequencies inside me. This is the true ascension. Understanding it is, that's the beginning step. Understanding it is beginning. To truly ascend your frequencies is very different. This is the real work. This is where you have to deal with your emotions, purge your old crap. If you want to come do ayahuasca ceremonies with us to help you do that, the inner body awakening is the best, most ancient, simple, direct technique. It's not too late. If you don't understand all this stuff and think it's overwhelming and you just want to avoid it, it's never too late to awake. It's never too late to ascend your frequencies. Mother Earth, all the angels, all the helpers, the archangels, the real ones. And there's lots of mimicry out there, lots of channeled material. You got to learn to discern. Lots of channeled crap from ET beings, fourth density beings, astral world beings that are pretending. So there's lots of little cults getting started. Here's the key. If you do not purge, change, transmute, alchemize your actual crap, your karma, your sins, your patterns, your mind memes, your old mind viruses, your old pains and hurts, misunderstandings in your subconscious. If you do not alchemize this stuff through whatever healing method, you're not going into the new frequency. You cannot. You know, you think it's hard getting on an airplane with the Transportation Security Administration through those metal detectors? The frequency gates between dimensions, between many mansions, between the different vibrational levels in the universe, those frequency gates are much better detectors than the silly metal detectors we humans have come up with right now. There's no way you cannot pass. You cannot pass until you are cleansed. So the most important thing you can do is to get real with yourself, get real with your emotional feelings, process those, open your heart, follow and start doing an ascension process. The inner body awakening is an ancient technique, Buddhist, Taoist, Vedic, yogic technique that I've reformulated in a way that it's so simple to do. And you will have definite experience of your own inner energy body. This is the key, not yakking about it, not talking about it. You need to feel your own inner energy body and start learning to work that. If you don't know how to work your energies, how are you going to have a shot at being independent and safe? You're not going to have a shot at that. So actually doing the ascension process inside yourself is going to be key. This is you need to learn to work your inner energy system. The alchemy process is also powerful for that. Alchemy is the only thing we do in the universe. Energy transforms into something else. We are just manipulating, converting, alchemizing, changing different energies into this and that. Your body is an alchemy machine. It takes food, it takes air, it takes prana, eventually just living directly off photonic light. And it converts it into this, makes atoms, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, and so forth. All we are is alchemy. Learning to re-become masters of this alchemy is what's going to allow you to be able to work these frequencies. So, check out the alchemy process as well. This is about practical tools. God is very strong with me about 1.5 years ago and said, now, time for just simple, practical tools. And I also love coming and doing these with groups where we just immerse ourselves in the alchemy process, the inner body awakening, and whatever else Spirit and God shows and brings to us. Powerful. We're going to be creating groups. We're going to be creating, I've seen it, of creating space, no time space, creating really like a vortices, a spiraling scalar electromagnetic spinning magnetic fields that will be beyond time and space. And we'll be doing this with groups. And we will be able to process tons, hundreds of lifetimes at a pop of junk, of old trauma, of old sins, if you will, old karma, old crap, the things that need to go. We're going to be doing these with hundreds, thousands of people because we're waiting till the last minute. And people will just be able to let go, and there will be grace, loving help from all the dimensions to literally process the frequencies. But we cannot pass into other frequency domains with these old energies in us. You simply cannot do it. You cannot pass through the metal detector, the soul, the fine soul detector of heavenly gateways. This is the whole idea of St. Peter and the gates and all that stuff. There are gateways and guardians. Whether you watch the new movie Thor out there, that guardian, the Greek guardians, this is true. These are frequency gateways. So the only way you're going to be able to pass is that your frequencies are clean. And I've been seeing that we will be doing this in groups. This is the actual work. Knowing and understanding about it is, again, it's just the booby prize. That's just the beginning. That's like being a dusty scholar. It's like it's getting obvious that scientism is just this hollow shell of, it has no essence. It is just this ego, fear-based thing that's desperately trying to understand and classify everything. If I catalog everything, it's like those guys with 500 butterflies catalog. It satisfies the ego. It's kind of a sickness, really. It's like obsessive-compulsive hoarding disorder, hoarding mathematical formulas, hoarding, and I know this because I grew up in a scientific family. The full spectrum human, I have another video on that. You need to be the full spectrum human. So in this ascension process, you have to learn to work your frequencies on the dial, And you cannot leave behind certain parts of yourself. It just doesn't work. You can't leave your sex, your root, your feelings, your heart behind and hope to just ascend up here by talking fancy words and having psychic insight and inspiration. You're going to be like a brain in a formaldehyde. That's an incomplete soul being. So that's not the way it's going to happen. Two main things here. You have to increase, you have to heal your own frequencies. There's no way around that. If you want to be part of this true ascension, not the fake ascensions that hope they can avoid dealing with all their stuff, meaning your emotions and so forth, right? The second thing is, some of the people around you that you love, that you've been born with, that you're genetically connected with, you will have to leave behind. It's just how it is. There's loving plans for every soul. There's multiple planets. There's multiple solar systems in our galaxy. Everyone will go to a place that is the right place for them. And the way that happens is through spiritual physics, through vibrational. By how you vibrate is what your environment reflects to you. The law of reflection. I have another video on that. We reflect our own environment. So it's perfect. It's perfect. And ultimately the big plan is loving, So letting go of those in your families or old exes or people, parents is and will be part of it for most of us on the planet. It's just how it is. And until we learn to do that, it's a tangled mess. It's a tangled mess. Live and let live and let die. Let go, let God. You cannot beat the source of the universe. Whatever made all this knows what it's doing. It knows what it's doing. And so if you say, well, I need to rescue all these people, you're going to get caught in it. And it's really not helpful. You need to let go, let God. This doesn't mean you're not compassionate and helpful. It just means you do it the way God and true masters do it. They do not waste their time in places where they're not received, where they cannot help. Let the dead bury the dead is pretty harsh words. Shake the dust from your feet. That's from the heart master, Jeshua ben David. Buddha as well left his family. If you look at that story, it's a horrible. He leaves his wife and newborn child. So this looks cruel on the surface, but if you look deeper, it's a frequency like attracting like, everyone finding their right place. And while we're entangled, this energetic entanglement, inappropriate energetic entanglement, is causing massive problems on Earth. So, again, to reiterate, you got to up your own frequencies. Inner body awakening is very powerful for that. Most powerful technique I've found. Alchemy process coupled with that afterwards, where you learn to alchemize your actual energies. And you need to ask to see, show me God, show me Source, how you see this frequency game. And make an intention that you want to do it according to that model. Then you're going to cease to be bothered. You're going to finally find peace. You're going to finally be able to let go and let God and allow things to find their natural level. I hope this makes sense to some of you. All right. Thank you so much. More later.